Welcome to the Trudgery. We have been expecting you. Like, subscribe, share, and if you can,
throw us a bone.
My name is Devin. I'm a 35-year-old trucker. People always joke that truckers see the weirdest stuff on the road. Aliens, hitchhikers with glowing eyes, ghost towns that vanish in the morning. I always laughed it off. Until Baltimore. It was just past 3 a.m., and I was parked at a busted-up rest stop off I-895. Old place, cracked pavement, flickering lights, the kind of spot you only pull into if your eyes are bleeding from fatigue or your stomach's cursing your ancestors. In my case, it was both. But I wasn't hauling your average load. I was on a special delivery for Sweet Jenny's Bakery. 500 pounds of premium cakes, headed for a corporate event in D.C. The kind of cakes that cost more than my first truck. Triple chocolate, raspberry velvet, one shaped like a bald eagle holding a flag. Fancy, sugary art. I climbed into the sleeper cab to grab a power nap. Just 30 minutes, I told myself. Locked the doors, curtains shut. I even set an alarm, but sometime in that half sleep, where dreams melt into reality, I heard it. Click, a latch. One, I definitely locked. I sat up, hard punching my ribs. Everything inside me screamed to stay put. But I peeked through the curtain. There was a man standing at the back of the trailer. No, not a man. He was too tall. Lanky, his spine bent like a question mark. Hoodie up, face shadowed. He held a crowbar, and next to him was a dented dolly cart. He wasn't trying to hijack the truck. He wanted the cakes. I grabbed my flashlight and crept into the cab. If I hit the horn, maybe I'd scare him off. But then I saw another one, a second figure, crouched near my front left tire. They were whispering to each other, like two kids trying to break into a cookie jar without waking Mom. Except I was Mom, and that cookie jar was worth thousands of dollars. I reached for my phone. No signal, of course. So I did what any half-mad, sugar-protecting trucker would do. I fired up the engine. The sound was thunder. The two figures jerked back, like I'd lit a bomb. But the tall one, he didn't flinch. He just turned slowly toward me. The headlights caught his face. He didn't have one, just smooth, pale skin stretched over his skull like wax. No eyes, no mouth, no nose. Just that hoodie framing something wrong. I floored it. The truck jolted forward, and I heard a scream, high-pitched, inhuman, as I tore out of the rest stop. My mirror showed the other one running into the woods. But the tall one, he just stood there, unmoving. I drove 2 hours straight before I even breathed. Parked in a brightly lit truck plaza next to a family of RVs and a Waffle House. When I finally opened the trailer, not a single cake was touched, but on the inside of the door, scratched deep into the metal with something sharp, was one word. Next, I make good money hauling cakes now. High-end, classy stuff. But I never ever stop in Baltimore again. And I never sleep on the job. Because some things out there aren't after your truck. They just want the sweet stuff inside. I should have listened to my gut the minute I stepped inside. The house on North Patterson Park was silent. Not peaceful quiet, but vacant quiet, like sound didn't belong there anymore. The kind of silence that makes you feel like you're the only thing alive. I got it cheap, way too cheap. People warned me. Old houses in Baltimore have stories, my cousin said. Some just haven't finished telling them yet. I thought that was dramatic. I thought I wanted solitude. I was wrong. The first floor was a mess. Peeling wallpaper, floors that creaked like they were sighing every time I stepped. No furniture, no signs of life, not even rats. Just a smell, thick and metallic, like blood rusting on iron. I told myself it was the pipes. I still had no power, so I walked through with my phone flashlight. When I passed the staircase, I heard the floor groan behind me. I turned, nothing there, just my shadow stretching across the warped wood like it was trying to slip away. I whispered, "It's just settling." But I didn't believe it. Upstairs was worse. 3 rooms. One had a window, boarded from the inside. Another had an old crib, rusted and empty, placed dead center like someone had left in the middle of a nightmare. The last room had a closed door, the only one. I tried the knob. Locked. Part of me said to leave it alone, but I crouched down and shined my light under the door anyway. Something moved on the other side. Not fast, not loud, just moved, like it was waiting for me to check. I stood. I should have left. But when I reached for the handle again, it turned, unlocked. I didn't unlock it. The room inside was empty. But the second I stepped in, it felt like the air turned thick, heavy, like the space didn't want me there, like it was holding its breath, waiting to exhale something else. Then I saw the wall. Someone had scratched words into it, jagged carved deep beneath layers of paint. "We live in the walls." My phone buzzed in my hand. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. No one spoke. But I heard voices, many voices, whispers, overlapping, urgent and wrong, like they were speaking from inside a throat that wasn't human. Then the line went dead. So did my phone. In that silence, it came back. But this time, it had weight. It pressed against my chest. Then came the scratching, inside the wall, right behind me. I turned. Nothing. Then, just inches from my ear, I heard it. A voice, soft, wet, and full of hate. "You shouldn't have come alone." I ran. I didn't look back. Down the stairs, out the front door, into the streetlights. Only when I was far enough away to feel cold air on my face did I dare turn around. And the house, the dead, powerless house, had lights in the upstairs window. I never went back. Sold it for a loss. Blocked the number. But it still calls sometimes. Always around 3:12 a.m. I don't answer. But the voicemails are the same. Scratching. Still inside the walls. I was 16 the summer it happened. Now at 25, I can still remember every detail, like it just happened yesterday. It was at Camp Wrenwood, a quiet place tucked deep in the woods of Maine. You know the kind. No cell service, creaky cabins, and a lake so still it looked like glass in the early morning. I'd been going there for years, but that summer was different. It was my first year as a CIT, counselor in training, and I felt grown up, responsible, almost important. There were 6 of us counselors in training, and we got our own tiny cabin by the edge of the woods, a little farther from the main camp. That's where everything started. The first night, after the kids had all gone to bed, a few of us snuck down to the lake. Typical camp stuff, telling ghost stories, skipping rocks, complaining about the food. Then Marissa, the most dramatic of us, started talking about the girl on the dock. She said that years ago, a camper named Eliza had disappeared on a foggy night just like this one. People said she'd sleepwalked right off the dock into the lake, and no one ever found her. Others said she ran away. But Marissa swore that every couple of years, someone saw her, standing at the end of the dock, staring out over the water in a white nightgown dripping wet. We all laughed it off, of course, just a dumb story to scare the new kids. But that night, something woke me up around 3 a.m. It was dead silent, like the woods were holding their breath. I couldn't explain it, but I suddenly felt drawn outside, like something was calling me. Not with words, just this pull. I slipped on a sweatshirt and stepped out. The camp was blanketed in fog, so thick I could barely see 5 feet in front of me. The path to the lake was lit only by the moon, which looked dull and hazy through the mist. I told myself I was just going for air, that I wasn't scared. But every step felt heavier. When I reached the lake, the fog thinned just enough that I could see the dock, and there, at the very end, was someone standing there. She was wearing a long white nightgown, and her hair was hanging wet down her back. She didn't move, just stared straight ahead, like she didn't hear me approach. I thought maybe it was one of the girls from another cabin, maybe sleepwalking, just like the story. I stepped onto the dock. The wood creaked under me. "Hey," I whispered, "are you okay?" She didn't turn, didn't flinch. The fog curled around us like smoke. I felt this chill run through me, not from the air, but from her, like she wasn't really there. I took another step closer. That's when I heard it, a splash. Behind me, I spun around, heart racing. Nothing, just ripples on the water. When I turned back, she was gone. No splash, no footsteps, just gone. I backed away, fast, all the way off the dock, then ran through the fog like it was choking me. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I told the other CITs what I saw. Most of them laughed, said I was half asleep, dreaming, whatever. But Marissa, she looked pale, quiet. Then she pulled me aside and said, "You're not the first to see her. Apparently 3 summers before, another CIT, a guy named Ryan, said he saw a girl in a white nightgown on the dock. He refused to go near the lake for the rest of the summer. A year later, one of the counselors found a soaked nightgown folded neatly on their cabin porch. No one ever figured out where it came from. I started digging, asking the older staff. Most waved me off, but one, an old maintenance guy named Carl, finally told me the truth. There was a girl named Eliza. Camp records showed she attended Wrenwood in 1982. And yes, she disappeared. They searched the woods, drained part of the lake. Nothing. But here's the part they never told us. Eliza was known for sleepwalking. She'd been found standing on the dock in the middle of the night more than once. The night she vanished, the counselors assumed she was asleep. Her bunkmates woke up, and she was just gone. I don't know what I saw that night. I don't know how I saw her, or why me. But the next few nights, I didn't go near the lake. And on the last night of camp, as we packed up and got ready to leave, I passed by the dock one last time, just a glance. There was nothing there. But the wood was wet, only the end of it, like someone had been standing there and hadn't come back. I haven't returned to Camp Wrenwood since. Part of me wants to, just to see, just to know. But another part of me is afraid she's still there, waiting, watching, and maybe this time she's not alone. People think being a librarian is peaceful. Books, whispers, quiet nights. But at the Poe Branch Library in Baltimore, nights aren't quiet. They're heavy. The building's over a century old. brick walls, creaking beams, arched windows that swallow the daylight long before closing time. I've worked here 6 years, and the one part I still hate is the basement. It's where we store discarded books, broken chairs, old city records, and it's where our stray cat, Edgar, a huge black Tom with one crooked ear, likes to sleep. It was a Thursday in October, the kind of evening when the city smells like wet leaves. The library was empty, streetlights glowing amber outside. I was alone, finishing my checklist, when I heard it. Footsteps, downstairs, slow, deliberate, wood against concrete. I froze. We've had squatters before, but the basement door had just been reinforced. No one should have been down there. I called out, "Library's closed. You're not supposed to be down there." Silence. Then the footsteps stopped. Edgar appeared from the hallway leading to the basement, tail puffed, fur bristled, staring at the door like something was coming up. He hissed. First time I'd ever heard him hiss. I grabbed the flashlight from the front desk. My chest felt tight, but I opened the basement door anyway. Pitch black. I stepped down. The light switch was halfway down the stairs. Always hated that. The air grew cold and damp, like wet soil. My breath fogged. Edgar stayed at the top, watching me with wide amber eyes. I flicked the flashlight across the floor. Stacks of boxes, filing cabinets, shadows, nothing moving. For a second I thought I'd imagined it. Then my beam caught an overhead bulb, gently swinging. No windows down there, no draft. And then I heard the footsteps again. Not below me, behind me, on the stairs. I spun around, flashlight shaking, empty stairs. But the sound kept coming. One step, pause, another step, pause, closer. "Who's there?" My voice cracked. No answer. Then a low scraping noise. I whipped the light toward the back of the room. Something darted behind a shelf. Too big for a rat, too low for a person standing. When it moved into the beam again, my stomach dropped. It crawled on hands and knees, slow and jerky, like it hadn't done it in years. The shape was human, but wrong. Arms bending strangely, elbows sticking out. It was coming toward me. I bolted, up the stairs 2 at a time, slammed the basement door, twisted the deadbolt. Edgar shot down the hall like a shadow. For a minute I stood there, back against the door, heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. Then silence. No footsteps, no scraping. I grabbed Edgar and left. Didn't finish the checklist. Didn't care. Locked the front doors and practically ran to my car. I didn't tell anyone. What would I say? That I heard invisible footsteps? That I saw something crawling through the dark? But the next morning, when I opened up the boxes in the back corner of the basement, the ones near where I'd seen that shape, were all toppled, and on the concrete floor were handprints, smudged, streaked, like someone had dragged themselves across the floor. Only the thumbs were on the outside, like the hands were backwards. I don't work the closing shift anymore, and Edgar won't go near the basement door. Not anymore. Michael had walked this route 100 times before, up Fayette Street, past the rows of brick row houses and flickering street lamps that looked like they hadn't been changed since the 60s. Baltimore at night wasn't a place for the faint-hearted, but Michael wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. He'd grown up in it. Tonight was different, though. Cold, still, like the city was holding its breath. He was walking home from a late shift at Mercy Hospital, hoodie pulled tight, hands in his pockets. When he noticed it, every street lamp behind him was off. Not flickering. Off. One by one. like something was following him, swallowing the light as it came. He stopped walking. The silence was deafening. Looking behind him, he saw only blackness stretching down Fayette. The last lamp, the one above him, buzzed softly. The one in front of him was already dead. Power outage? He whispered to himself. No, that didn't make sense. He looked across the street. The lights in the row houses were still on. One window even glowed with the blue-white light of a TV. But nobody was looking out. Michael turned back. The darkness was closer now. He took a slow step forward. The street lamp above him flickered. Another step. The bulb crackled, then hissed. He looked up. Inside the lamp, something moved. It wasn't a trick of the light. There were fingers, long and wrong, pressed against the glass from the inside. A face followed, pale, featureless, like wax melting over bone. It looked down at him and smiled, or at least stretched its mouth until it could be called a smile. Michael stumbled back. The light popped and went out. He ran, down Fayette, past the dead lamps, past the houses that now looked like facades, like stage sets for a play no one was watching anymore. Behind him, the darkness moved faster. He could feel it licking at his heels, chasing his breath. He turned a corner too fast and hit the pavement. Pain exploded in his knee, but he scrambled up. His phone, he fumbled for it. No signal. He turned the flashlight on. Bad move. The light showed footprints. Black oily ones. Human-shaped, but wrong. Toes too long. Arch too deep. And they were leading toward him. From nowhere. From the dark. Then the flashlight flickered and died. Michael screamed. A raw, hollow sound that no one heard. The darkness surged in and pressed against his skin like wet velvet. And in that moment, he understood. This wasn't the absence of light. It was something else. It had come for him. They found his body 2 days later, slumped against a lamppost on Fayette Street, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream. The coroner listed it as heart failure. But the EMT swore his flashlight, the one clipped to his vest, wouldn't turn on at the scene. And when they brought Michael's phone into the light, it had one photo on it. A grainy shot of the last street lamp on Fayette, with a face inside, still smiling.